case Nice, and arriving to Nice, where you'll be met by your tour director and bus driver, and off you'll go, and you'll outside the secure area of the airport and take a scenic drive on modern air-conditioned motor coaches, reclining seats, high visibility windows, air conditioning, all that good stuff, from the airport to Avignon through some spectacular countryside. And welcome to Provence. Provence is known for its colors, for its spectacular farming areas, its history, Roman occupation. Yes, the Pope spent many, many years, centuries upon centuries ago here. And it was in Avignon. Avignon is an ideal destination to stay in a hub setting for a Provence stay. Now, you'll find many companies out there that will bring you to the south of France, have 7 nights in Nice, and maybe a day trip up to Provence. There is so much that you miss in such a way. So we designed our program to have 3 nights in Avignon, Provence, and then 4 nights down in on the beach again in Nice. Now, for those people who traveled with us before, this is still one of our cruise philosophy on land programs. Now, our cruise philosophy on land programs is trying not to pack and unpack very many times. Ideally, only 1 pack and 1 unpack. But this region doesn't really allow that. And we'd be doing you an injustice, as I mentioned, if we did just 1 destination. So we've got a pack and unpack in Avignon, and we've got a pack and unpack in Nice. But this really gives you a great opportunity to relax, take it easy, infiltrate into the local French community, and have a true culturally rich program. One day you go north, another south, east, and west, experiencing different cultures, different histories, but coming back to the same hotel in Avignon and the same hotel in Nice. Great restful program, no constant packing and unpacking. And here we are for our relaxing 3 nights in Avignon. We can see the Pope's Palace, and right there we've got the bridge of Avignon, which we'll see on our city tour. And the first night's a night to relax in Avignon, infiltrate into the French way of life, maybe grab an immediate glass of wine and some cheese. And then the next day, here we are on our first tour out, and we're heading out on day 3 to Orange. And this is a lot of Roman history right here. Orange is a UNESCO heritage site. The beauty and culture of this area is spectacular. Here we've got the Roman Triumph Arch dedicated to Tiberius. We'll head into the 1st century AD Roman theater. It's still used today. You can see Tiberius right here in the center. And then we'll continue from there through into the vineyards of Orange and Chateau de Pau. This is some of the best wine in the entire area, as we're in the Rhone Valley, famous for their whites, but over years have brought spectacular red wines in too. Whilst here, we're going to be visiting a family-run vineyard. We'll be learning about the wines. We'll learn of the different grapes that's cultivated in the area, the fermentation process. And this is one of our cultural discovery series. And then we'll also, after that, well, we couldn't do anything else, could we? Except sample some wine. And usually we have a little bit of nibbles as we're sampling a few different types of wine. Continuing on, we'll head out to Saint Remy. And this is the birthplace of Notre Dame. Sorry, apologies, Notre Damus. It's also an artist colony, and many, many artists over the centuries have lived in and around here, including Van Gogh has painted many, many scenes in and around this area. Here we've got Nostradamus and the fountain dedicated to Nostradamus in the town itself. Great thing after our guided section, head out and just go get lost. Relax, infiltrate again into that community, go to the local market, go and do a spot of shopping, and then we'll continue on to Lesbos, to Provence. This is a spectacular fortified hill village, medieval hill village with spectacular views all around the countryside. Famous for its art galleries, its artists, shops and restaurants, and you know you're going to be in Provence. Here's the typical colorful yellows, blues and greens, and often burnt oranges of the Provence colors. Great tablecloths, great prints and such things as that can be purchased. But here we can see some of the stunning views all around. The next we'll be heading into Arles, which is Van Gogh spent a lot of time in this area until he allegedly committed suicide in a town very close by. Here we'll be heading into the central square of the Republic. We'll see the Roman arena, one of the 7 less arenas in the world, and then back to the hotel that evening. Day 4, we'll find ourselves in Avignon, and we'll be having our city tour of Avignon. And here we are. Avignon is a beautiful walled city. We'll be entering the walls and we'll be touring the city of popes. Here we are in those main walls, still used today. Ramparts are still in existence. We'll start at the famous bridge, the Pont d'Avignon. It was damaged quite some years ago, and it was never reconstructed. But it's it's an unusual thing, and it's a great. The locals take great pride in it, and they preserve it impeccably. Continuing on onto the Pope's Palace, Pope John the 22nd had his papal seat here in 1316, and it was for some years the papal seat in France, not in Rome. Here we are at the Cathedral Notre Dame d'Avignon, and as we continue on, we'll head into the old town itself, through to the clock tower, and it's a great orientation because you are here for 3 nights total. Lastly, we'll end up at the main shopping area, and then you can relax, head off by yourself, or come back to the hotel with us. Day 5 will be upon us very quickly, and we'll have spent our 3 nights in Avignon and in the location of Provence, and we'll be heading south to the coast through Aix-de-Provence, and then along the coastline through to Nice. And here we are in Aix-de-Provence. Aix-de-Provence boasts 300 years of sunshine, 300 days of sunshine, and it is a lively town with great shops, great boulevards, main squares, and a whole host of history that will be on evidence with you today. You'll see its neoclassical architecture, St. Saviour's Cathedral, and on today's day, we'll be heading out as part of our Cultural Discoveries series. We'll be learning a little bit about something a little bit off the beaten track, as we'll be visiting the famous artist Paul Cézanne, and one of his main art galleries where he lived and worked for many years. We'll continue on and have a little bit of free time there in Aix-de-Provence before arriving onto the famous Côte d'Azur, the French Riviera for a 4-night stay. This is a fabulous destination, home of the rich and famous, beautiful, clear blue and waters, a stone shingle beach. And it's a great way to just to relax and take it easy. Drop in the famous Baroque and Belle Epoque architecture. Sit in a cafe bar, have a cappuccino, and just realize, wow, I'm on the south of France coast in the Côte d'Azur. From here, yes, we've got an adventure for the next 4 nights. Nice is a wonderful destination of narrow alleyways, medieval squares, great shopping, local markets, and you'll see all this on your orientation tour on day 6 on our city tour. We'll be jumping. It's a mixture of coach and walking tour today, and we'll be starting historically down at the historic center of Old Nice, where we'll have a small walking tour. We'll head into the flower market, the main indoor market, one of the most famous markets in the entire area, continuing on to the Promenade d'Anglaise, which is basically the main promenade that goes all the way down the beach. We'll have a mini walking tour of this area. You'll see outlets for wines and Italian and French wines. So we're not that far away from Italy. Great restaurants for seafood and meat dishes. We'll continue on the bus and see the famous casino, the Palace de Mediterranean. You'll see the Opera House. And then later on that day, we'll have a spot of free time to relax, head to the port, sun on the beach, go and get that croissant and coffee, and just again realize that, yes, I'm in Nice. That night, head out with your friends, family members, fellow Greater Reading travelers on maybe a dinner on the promenade itself. On day 7, we'll be heading a little bit south as we head into Cannes. Cannes, famous for its film festival, beautiful boutique designer shops, great yachts and power cruisers throughout. And here we've got the famous boulevard, the Croisette Boulevard. And here we've got right in the middle, the conference center, where the famous film festival is produced. And here we can see it right there, the annual film festival. You'll be able to walk the steps that Robert Redford, Julia Roberts, or a whole host of movie stars have walked, and take some photographs whilst there. We'll continue on to the bay and to the old port of Cannes to see a little bit of the beautiful harbor before continuing on to the oldest medieval town on the French Riviera, St. Paul-de-Vence. It's a spectacular, precariously perched village on the hillside with spectacular views overlooking the ocean. Its heavy ramparts and walls still intact today. Here we'll have a guided tour of the narrow cobble streets, and we'll have great photographic opportunities. And as part of our cultural discovery series, we'll be learning about olive oil, French cheeses, southern French cheeses, not Normandy cheeses like camemberts, but southern French cheeses, and wines on a cultural discovery event today. Now, there's only 2 optional tours on this program. This program brings forth great value for money. The first is Gourds and Rossen, the tour. It's on day 4. If you look through on the brochure itself, we'll be heading into, again, a famous Côte d'Azur wine growing area, and into Gourds, a spectacular village with great Second World War history, many battles, were fought in and around this area with the French resistance. And today it's a very fashionable area to live, to have a second home because of its quaint nature, its vibrant history, and its spectacular views. And here we are again on the multicolored villages of Rossagnon. It's known for its art and artists, beautiful shops. Continuing on, we'll be heading into Saint-Ange Abbey and the Lavender Museum. This is a Cistercian monks, a monastery from the 1100s. They were some of the first to bring forth perfumes into the area. It's a beautiful interactive museum. It is no longer a perfume producing entity, but it does bring forth a great interaction of how perfumes are made as it was made in the past. And yes, a great learning opportunity as we head into the Lavender Museum. You'll see the vats, you'll see the cooling chambers, you'll see the boiling areas. Yeah, great opportunity. Continuing on after that, there's the second optional program, and that's on day 8, and that's Villefranche, Monaco, and Monte Carlo and Hedse tour. Now, yes, you note at least 2 of those names, very famous names, but Villefranche is going to be our first destination. This is now starting to get into the true land of the rich and famous. Villefranche-sur-Mer is one of the most exclusive and expensive spots on the Côte d'Azur. Luxury residences, villas, apartments, great yachts in and around the area, apartments and villas built precariously on the hillsides with great views of the Mediterranean, and a great downtown with a vibrant cafe and restaurant life. You wander through the town itself, you never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to see. And then after that, we'll be heading into the Principality of Monaco and Monte Carlo. And here we are in Monaco. Monaco, as I mentioned earlier, one of the most the richest areas and one of the highest cost per square foot of land in the world. And here we have the palace in the old center and the old town of Monaco Harbor right there. Monaco Harbor is different than Monte Carlo, which we're looking at here. That's Monte Carlo's harbor. Monaco's harbor is a little more subdued, but those people who remember the 80s and, well, 70s, 80s, and 90s, you might remember the famous oceanographer Jacques Cousteau. Well, that building right in the middle is the Oceanographical Institute, where Jacques Cousteau did a lot of his research for. We'll be seeing Monaco and Monte Carlo. Now, here we are at Monte Carlo's main harbor. Now, this is where you'll find huge, huge yachts. The last time I'm here, gents, it probably won't do much for you, but the last time I was here, now it has to be about 10 years ago, I was walking down this main road right here and looking on one of these boats from the walkway, and lo and behold, yes, that was Sean Connery, James Bond's yacht, and he was there rubbing a little bit of sun cream into himself on his deck chair. So again, you never really know who's going to be in and around this area as you have your guided tour. You'll drive, this is more for us gents, maybe, you'll drive on the motor coach, the many areas of the Monaco Grand Prix, and here we've got the famous hairpin turn. We'll just be doing it a lot slower than those Formula One cars. We'll have a bit of free time. We'll stop at the Monte Carlo Casino, where if you wish, yes, you can go inside and try your hand at winning the jackpot, breaking the Bank of Monte Carlo, all the way around this casino, you'll find Cartier, Dior, Gucci, all the designer shops, so that when you come out here with your winnings, you've got a place to spend your money immediately. Usually there's beautiful cars parked out here on the forecourt, and it's a really unusual experience. Continuing on, we'll go to Edse. Edse is right there, just on the outskirts of Monte Carlo and Monaco. It holds spectacular views back into those areas, and it's known as the Eagle's Nest. Beautiful narrow streets, arches and walkways, stone houses, and it is beautiful views all the way along the coastline. Before we know it, we'll have spent 7 nights on the program, and day 9 will be upon us, and we'll be leaving from Nice and heading to Nice Airport for our flight back to the United States and bus back to Reading. But what you'll find is, yes, newfound camaraderie and travel with fellow friends and family members. Spectacular vistas and views and culture, far different than what we have on the East Coast. World famous sites to see. And what do you get for the price of the program? You've got round trip bus transportation from Reading. We've got round trip air transportation from New York. We've got 7 nights in first class hotels. For those people who've traveled with us before, you know we're always renegotiating and negotiating hotels with you, with our partners, and your hotel names will be given to you with your final documentation. You got 9 meals, which is daily full breakfasts, either buffet or plated, and 2 dinners. We've got tours of Avignon, a tour of Orange, Remy, Saint Remy, Les Orques and Arles. We've got an Orques de Provence tour. We've got a city tour of Nice. We've got a city tour of Cannes and St. Paul de Vence. Only 2 optional tours on the program, and that's Monte Carlo and Rossignol Gordes. We've got our cultural discovery series. We've got interactions with the local economy, with people and social systems. We've got Paul Cézanne Studio, cheese and wine, and oil demonstrations. We've got a professional tour director on the program from arrival in south of France to waving goodbye in the south of France. We've got deluxe air-conditioned motor coaches throughout the program, and we've got baggage handling for 1 piece of luggage. Now, we class it to unbelievable value, and I'm hopeful you agree. All this including transportation from Reading, air from New York, 7 nights in first-class hotels, 9 meals, 4 tours, somebody to look after you on the trip itself, all for $32.99 double occupancy. The fuel surcharges are included at $350. Now, land taxes are additional at $150, and they will be billed at final payment. Now, this is what we call an early bird discount price. This early bird discount price is as long as you sign up before or on March the 21st. So we've got just about, let me just see here. We've got just over a week to qualify for this pricing. We already have Greater Reading Chamber travelers on the trip. If you know you want to go, please do sign up sooner than later. And I'll discuss in a moment how we can show you how you can sign up for the trip, put X on the calendar, and still get your money back if you wish to, all the way up to a certain date. Okay. After the early bird deadline has expired, it goes up by $100 a person to $33.99. Now, this program is a level 3. Level 3 is a standard run-of-the-mill program for us, which means that in an activity level, of course, which means there'll be on and off of motor coaches, there'll be some walking tours, there'll be some cobblestones, uneven surfaces, and some steps. So if you think you can do that, then this program is for you. If not, it isn't for you. Now, whilst we there, about 75% of our travelers say, yeah, I want to stay a little bit longer. And as a result, we've got an extension, an optional extension to Milan, into Italy. My goodness, yes, we're heading to Italy. Now, Milan is one of those destinations that holds so much for the traveler, but because it's a little bit out of the way, if you go to Italy, most people don't go there. Now, if you go to the south of France, though, it's actually closer. So from here, we have first class, 2 nights first class hotel accommodations. We've got 2 full breakfasts, buffet or plated. We've got a city tour of Milan, as well as a spectacular transfer from the south of France through Italy, through some of the busiest and most productive rice growing areas in the world. Italian rice farming is in between the south of France and Milan. Deluxe air-conditioned motor coaches, baggage handling, and all that good stuff again. Now, the price of this is $699 per person, double occupancy, $998 single occupancy. And off we'll go. We'll arrive into Milan, and we'll see on our city tour, we'll see the Peace Arch. And now, again, we're in Italy. So you'll find a whole host of spectacular Italian architecture, Italian customs and such is here. We're in the square of the cathedral, Piazza del Duomo, and here we have the spiky Duomo of Milan. Spectacular architecture, spectacular craftsmanship, not only in the Duomo, but also as you look to the left-hand side in one of the most grand and architecturally rich shopping malls in the world. We'll see photographs of that in a moment. We'll head here into the Santa Maria del GRCA church with its beautiful but modest architecture. And the reason we're heading here is to see Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper. And here we are looking at the Last Supper, the painting. Now, importantly, sometimes there is a capacity control placed on the painting of the Last Supper, and we're in Italy. Sometimes we know about it in advance. Sometimes, even with tickets, it may get delayed or cancelled. So in the event that that's happened, and it's basically done to keep the tapestry and painting as protected as possible. If that happens, we'll be heading into one of Leonardo da Vinci's apartments, into his spectacular gardens, into his rooms, and learning a little bit about Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci, in actual fact, didn't own many places. He either rented, or in all aspects, virtually slept on people's couches and lived with people rent-free. And we'll learn a little bit about his life. We'll continue on after that to the Emmanuel II building. And this is the shopping center, as I mentioned. All the designers are here, but really, the architecture is just spectacular. The walls are all beautifully carved. The ceiling is all glass. And it is more than a shopping center when you get in here. And here you can see more of it. Now, before you know it, we'll have spent 2 nights on the trip itself, and the extension, the last night in Milan to relax, take it easy, maybe get dinner in a local restaurant. And day 11, we'll find ourselves back on our motor coach as we head to Milan airport for our flight back to the US, and bus back to Reading after that. Now, visas for US, and if any Canadians are here in front of us, are not required on this trip. So no visas are required. A passport with 6 months left on it from your last day of the trip, and 2 blank pages is all that's required. Now, we certainly hope you'll join us on a great trip in 2023. And how do we sign up? Great question. So here we've got it right here. We use the registration form on the back of the brochure, if you'd like to, in a paper format. I'm not going to dwell too long on the registration form because it's relatively easy. And I know many of you have already filled this out and reserved, but it's one form per passenger. And it's starts with certainly Mr., Miss, Mrs. Your name as it appears in your passport, date of birth, passport number, country of issue, and all that good stuff. Then your mailing address, email address, carefully written, please, so we can read it. Home number, if you have one, cell phone as well. Now, after that, what type of rooms would you like? If you're a single and you'd like to have a single occupancy, tick that box, and it's $6.99 supplement on the main program for your single supplement. After that, if you're two in the room, tick that box and circle whether you'd like one bed, which is a double, or a twin beds. Now, there are some rooms with larger than a double bed, but we default to worst case scenario because France and Italy historically don't have many king size beds. They have a few queen size beds, but they historically have double beds. So circle which one you'd like and indicate who you're sharing the room with. After that, notes, anything you need us to know about you as a traveler, please do drop in there. And now we've got a worksheet. This worksheet helps you understand how much the trip is. And we found it valuable over the years to include this. So we have the optional tour first. The two optional tours. Would you like the Gorge? Would you like the Monte Carlo tour? Yes, yes. If you tick yes, indicate the amount per person for those tours. So just put it in the total. Would you like the Milan extension? Yes, indicate the per person amount in there in the totals. Now this worksheet underneath to calculate the trip cost. Nice and easy. One column for on the 24th or before, and one after the 24th. The only difference is $100 difference. So you drop in there optional tours. Anything that's in this total right here, you drop it in here. We got the single supplement. If you're a single, put the $6.99 in there. The optional extension, drop the amount in here. Total all these things up with the 150 taxes, and that's the price of the trip. Why do we do that? Is because of the travel insurance. And the travel insurance, if you've listened to me before, I always say this. I hope you all take out travel insurance. I hope you all waste your money on it. The reason that you're going on this trip is not to sample insurance, but to go and visit south of France. But it's usually the time you don't take it out is the time you need it. And I've seen it all too many times. Every time I go overseas, I always take out insurance. Now, there's one policy with an attachment that can enhance that policy. And I'll talk about both right now. So the first one is the policy. So it's a cancellation for a reason. And the reason is sickness or death of you or an immediate family member. Don't try it yourself because it's not a viable option, this first section here. So avoid that at all costs, please. And then we've got medical on the trip interruption. And this is really why I take it out. There's the medical on the trip interruptions, travel delays, misconnections, emergency medical evacuation, lost baggage and personal effects baggage delays. And I always take out that at a minimum. Now you can enhance that by having cancel for any reason. And basically what cancel for any reason policy is, it's an attachment to the first policy. It's not a separate policy. It sort of sticks to it. So you get all the sections from this section right here on the left, plus you get the ability to cancel for any reason. As long as you buy the policy, a cancel for any reason policy within 24 hours of booking your trip with us. And you cancel no later than 48 hours before departure. Okay, there are some other rules and regulations, but that's most of them in a nutshell. So by buying that, you know, you can cancel, you get a bad haircut, the dog doesn't want you to go, you get busy at work, etc., etc., you can cancel out without any reason, without us or the insurance company saying, no, you can't. So it's one of those things. It's a great start of a policy, and I mean that most sincerely. You get 65% of your penalty amount back from the insurance company. Now, again, it's a great start. We value, Rachel, we value the chamber, we value you as travelers, and we as a company will give you 35% of the penalty amount back in future travel credits, okay? In future travel credits. So together with the 65% refund and the 35% future travel credit, you are 100% financially protected. You can see a link right here, and I'll show you where that link is so you can review the brochure policy. It's right here. For some reasons, if that one doesn't work for you, you can drop on our website of aventuraworld.com, go down to the bottom of the main page where the text becomes white on a black background, and you will see that I think it's the third or fourth bullet point, and it says travel protection. Click on that and you'll be able to pull up the information from that secondary method. Now you'll notice here it does say right there for excuse me, the policy based on $3,000 to $3,500. It's $221 per person for the standard policy. With the to have cancel for any reason on that, it's $331.50. It's not plus, it's just one of those figures. Whatever figure drops down in this calculate the trip cost, that's where you're going to look into the price of the trip. That's why we recommend that you do that little worksheet there. Highly recommend it. Yes, I'd like it. Tick yes. No, I don't. We take, it's $800 per person to reserve your space on this trip, plus whatever optional tours per person amount drops in here, plus the extension of the trip. Why are we asking for the extension and the optional tour money? It's because we're planning ahead, and the extension, we're planning different airlines, different hotels, different routes, and such things as that. And then travel insurance, if you're going to take travel insurance out, drop that in that box right there. And then you plus this, and drop in the total right here. As you can see, final payment is June the 25th of this year. As we go through, and there you can see, whatever figure drops out there, drop it into this box down here too, for you, I authorize. Okay, we take Visa, MasterCard, we take credit card, checks first, made out to Aventura World and given to the chamber in Reading. We also take Visa, MasterCard, American Express too. And whatever figure you authorize, we will send you a link to your email address for you to pay that amount. So if you, and I'm just going to bring up some form of a number here, if it just happens to be $1,223.50, that's the total amount due in there, and you drop it in there, we'll send you a link directly to your email address, and you'll click on that link and it will go directly into the merchant account website, secure site. We don't save your credit card. We never even see your credit card number anywhere during this process. Only you and the merchant account sees that. Once you have paid and clicked on that link and paid, you're on the trip. Remember, you're not on the trip until you have paid for that section. Now, as we go through the next section, there are two ways that we can protect you through our actions on this trip. One, you can take cancel for any reason insurance out, and you've got all the way up until 48 hours before you go to see what you'd like to do, and you can cancel out if you wish. Having said that, there's a free method too, and that's our terms and conditions. So our terms and conditions allow you, free of charge, to once you've reserved, put an X on the calendar that you are going to France on November the 2nd, and know that as soon as you put your money down all the way through to 131 days before you go, you'll get a full refund, no questions asked. All you'll do is send an email to Rachel, and she will send it on to us, and we'll initiate the refund. Okay. So the only thing, though, that you won't get back is travel insurance. That's non-refundable, and it's working at the time that you buy it. I ask you, like all insurance policies, you enter into the conversation that I wasted my money on that insurance, but I needed it. Hopefully every year you waste your money on your car insurance, but you need it. Hopefully every year you don't need to make a claim on your house insurance or your medical insurance. So you waste your money on that. But I ask you to think of the same way with the travel insurance. In the last 20 years, I've probably been overseas 60 times, maybe even thinking about it 70 times. I always take out travel insurance. I've used it twice. So in all aspects, I've wasted my money 68 times. But I will never change that, because I've seen what happens when somebody doesn't have the insurance. And this just happened. Thank goodness they had the insurance. Somebody slipped this week in Spain and needed to gain medical advice, and the insurance company is there to take care of it. So that's a great way to look at it. Lastly, sign it, date it, get your registration form over to Rachel, and off we go. For those people who've traveled with us before, you might have an account on our online booking engine. If you look here at the very top of the brochure, or the front, on the front cover, you'll see aventurworld.com/booking and a code. The code on this particular trip is CTJNSB, if I'm not mistaken. And once if you've already got an account, you'll go in here, put your email address, put your password in, put whatever code is there, press submit. You'll be able to put the code in and book on the program. If you haven't done this before, and we strongly encourage you to use the online booking engine, because we don't have any concerns about handwriting. Everything's typed. And you can also pay for it immediately with your credit card, so you can take care of all that credit card through the merchant accounts portal as well. So if you haven't signed up with, done this before with us, just a little bit of homework you've got. You'll put your name on the left-hand side here, because you'll have to create a new user. First name, last name, email address, make a password, confirm the password, whatever code's there, drop it in there, and off you go. Once you've got that and you press submit, an email will come to your email account. If it isn't there, check your spam, because you're talking to a computer. It doesn't forget. It didn't go to the bathroom or the toilet or the lunch. It's there. So check your spam if it's not in your inbox. Once you click on the link inside that first email, you've verified your email address, and it will open up your account. Once you're there, just a little bit of homework you've got. You'll, in your profile, you'll put your date of birth, you'll put your address, you'll put your telephone number, you'll save, and then your passport number in another file, and then you'll press save. And then the third one is anybody that's traveling with you. So my wife might be, my son might be. I'll put them in there, their telephone numbers, their addresses, names, passport numbers, save. And now you're ready to book. With the booking number, you'll be able to drop that in there, and it's really, really easy. And it's all plug and play. On the first page, it'll say, who's passenger one? And from the pull down, everybody will be listed on your account. If there's a passenger number two, from the pull down, you'll put who's the passenger number two, save and move on, and so on. And it's really, really easy now. And you'll get to number 5 in the booking portal. Number 5 is informational only. And I remember this, please, informational. This is the travel insurance section. You cannot buy insurance from our portal, our booking engine just yet. But follow the instructions, write it down, take a photograph of it on your phone or something like that, a print screen, And once you press OK on number 5, and once you've pressed OK, it'll take you to number 6, and then you can pay for the deposit of the trip. You'll click on a link and you'll go directly into the merchant's account portal. As soon as you press submit, an email will come to you to say you're on the trip. Rachel will get notification that you've signed up. Okay. She doesn't get your credit card number. We don't even get your credit card number. So, but as soon as that has done, don't leave the site, because straight after that, we've got a pop-up that will appear. And this pop-up will appear only if you have really strong protection on your computer that stops pop-ups will it not happen. But this is the travel insurance. And especially if you want cancelled for any reason, you should do your insurance immediately. Now, for some reason, if it doesn't pop up because you've got a strong security on your computer, remember, go to our website, aventuraworld.com, and then down at the bottom, when the background turns black and the text turns white, you will see travel protection. Click on there, and there's a big red banner that allows you to buy the policy from there. Okay, but this is what will appear in both cases once you press that section. So it's fill out the starred section. So departure date, return date, trip cost, number of passengers. I highly recommend you all take your own policy. Even husbands and wives have their own policies. Please, state of residence. We'll talk why this is important in a moment. So from the pull down, click your state of residence. Get instant quote. Nearly finished, and you can answer. I can get questions from you in a minute and hopefully answer them. So if you want to start looking at your chat and drop in some questions there, that would be great. So now it's going to tell you what's everything that's included on the insurance. And if you hover over these little color, these blue lines with the underline, it'll tell you a little bit more. This is a photograph of a HTML screen. It's too big for me to show on one picture. So here's the second section of the included features. Now, importantly, here we've got the cancel for any reason checkbox. Tick that if you want cancel for any reason. Straight underneath there is a big long box. Once you click on that, a calendar appears and you will click on there on the day that you purchased or put your initial deposit down with us. Don't forget, it has to be within 24 hours of your initial deposit to buy cancel for any reason. Note one thing here. If you happen to be a resident of New York, you cannot buy cancel for any reason insurance. Just a New York State rule and regulation. Once you've done that, this box right underneath, an orange box, is submit, and then you'll go on to step 3. And this is personal information from you. Still not credit card stuff, but it's your name. Only fill out the starred sections, first name, last name. Member ID, there's no star, you don't need it. Home phone number, yes, all this you're going to need because the star's on it, okay? Address 2, you don't need it. Now, there's no star on email, but if you want to have your policy emailed to you, and this is the second section of that HTML file, click on the email. I want it to be delivered to me by email, but make sure you provide your email address. Otherwise, it can be sent to you directly, a home address. No, a star on beneficiary, relationship, travel agency code is there with a star, but it automatically populates. You don't need any of this under here. Then it's going to come to this particular section here. Primary destination. It's France. Even though we're going to Italy, France is our primary destination. From the pull down, pull France in there, and then it's going to say primary airline. Select from the pull down, select the very last setting, and it's undecided because you don't know what the airline is at the moment. Once you've done that, you'll press submit, and then it will take you to number 4, and then you'll put your credit card in there. press submit. And again, you're talking to a computer. The policy will come virtually immediately to you. If it isn't in your inbox, it's in your spam. And at that, let's see who's got any questions. So, are we flying out of Newark or JFK? Yes, we are. Now, I'm very, very frank, and with that joke, the airlines don't know where they're flying tomorrow, or never mind, in November. Our intent is to fly out of Newark, but sometimes things change with the airlines and we might fly out of JFK. As we're providing bus transportation for you, however, it shouldn't really be too much of an issue, but we will be we intend to fly out of Newark. If we don't take the optional tour, what is scheduled? If you don't take the optional tours, then what is scheduled is whatever you want. Don't forget, you have your own private concierge. Your tour director will be traveling along with you, even though that tour director will be traveling on the optional tours, but he can point out from point A to point B, set a schedule for you to do whatever you'd like to while you're on the trip and such things as that. So it's one of those things that, you know, if you want to jump on a train, our tour director will be able to tell you where to get on the train, taxis, how much is it going to cost you, that type of thing. So I've got a free afternoon, what should I do? That's what they're there for. They've forgotten more than we will ever know about these destinations. So that's what you can do on your free days there. Let's just see here.
I don't want the camera.
I don't have any more questions. Oh, I see many frequent travelers. Hi. Oh, that's from you, Rachel. Yes, lots. You would know all those names. Yes.
Okay.
Great. Anybody?
Ian, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. I've been on quite a few of the chamber trips and they're great. I love everyone on the trip. Everything's been perfect with one exception. As I said, I've been on many chamber trips and I don't remember any of the rooms. The hotel we were in is billed as 5-star. A few of us had to change our rooms because this was in Italy. They were musty. There was mold in the room. Half the time, there wasn't any help. Someone's door fell off. None of the safes worked. How are we? And I understand that a 5-star hotel is different.
We don't offer 5-star. We offer 4-star first class.
Well,
in Italy too.
Last year was billed as 5-star and it was probably a 2-star.
It was we always build Italy and Tuscany as 4-star first class. This one's a 4-star first class too. Now, importantly, there are many things that we can't. There might be an issue with the room here. There might be an issue with the room there. Our encouragement is that to talk to your tour director quickly, to allow us the opportunity to change rooms or do something like that. And hopefully we were able to do that. We were, like any hotel, I travel throughout the US too. Sometimes I have to get maintenance in there in the US too. So that's, we can't guarantee every aspect of every hotel room, but hopefully it was resolved.
Well, with all due respect, friends of mine were in that same hotel 10 years ago and said it was fabulous, but there had been no updates in that time except for the bathrooms, and the bathrooms were great. But with allergies and the rugs and the heavy drapes and everything, it was kind of a problem.
Okay.
Anyway, I have a couple other questions. With the seasons and everything, will the flower markets have all the flowers and everything, or is it a little bit out of season? How's that going to work?
No, we live in a global world in today's day and age. So flower markets, like a little bit like home, we always have flowers. If you go down to the Skid Row area of LA, you'll find flowers every day of the year. There's some areas in New York that the flower markets are always full. And yes, you'll find we're traveling in living, working historical locations. And so it's a living, breathing town and city. So those should all be as they should be.
That's awesome. Thank you. And just one more short question. The Monaco casinos, last time I was there, it was $100 to get in and you had to be dressed.
Well, you should be dressed anywhere in the casino. Nudity, there's a few nudist beaches around, but and I'm playing with you here. But historically, sorry.
No, I'm kidding. I said I like to gamble naked, but it was $150 like 8 or 9 years ago. Do you know if there's a fee to get in?
The last time I was there, there was a fee to get in there, as it is a tourist. There are some people that don't pay because they're willing to drop 10, 20,000 and they get comped to go in there. But it's a tourist attraction at the same time. If you wish to go in there and gamble, yes, make sure that you do have the appropriate, there are rules and regulations for dress for the casino. Yes, a tie, a shirt for the gents, a nice outfit for the ladies, and importantly, one of the things we'll do getting closer into the departure, if you've traveled with us before, you know that we'll have a pre-departure. We'll give forth more information on that, and again, your tour directors will be able to enlighten you a lot more on that. And historically too, if you've lost your tie, forgot your tie, gents, there's often a tie there that you can use, but the rest of your dress you'd have to have with you.
Well, that sounds great. I'm looking forward to it because it's always a good time.
Great, good. Any other questions, please?
I wanted to share, Ian, in follow up to Patty's question. Hi, Patty. You are amazing, an amazing lady. And the tour guide there the day of and the day before usually helps to remind us of things like that. So even if you get all your information at the pre-departure, which we will, our tour guides and myself, I certainly try to be as helpful as possible and remember those things that you will need to know for our upcoming day's travel.
Any other questions? We're here to answer any questions, so don't be shy.
This is Renwick Santangelo.
Yeah.
Are we going to be traveling with other chamber groups as we have been in the past?
All our programs, there's a possibility of traveling on dates, and it depends. It just depends on the departure date. So that's a part of who we are and a part of the programs that we offer. And I'm wondering if I can see right now if we do have anybody else on this date. Give me one moment and I'll look to see if I've got it. November. We don't. We have just your chamber on this date at this moment.
Thank you. And on the hotels, we were concerned too, because the hotel in Tuscany in Montegattini was a little underrated. So
okay,
if there's any way we can confirm that the hotel will be better than that, we'd appreciate it.
Well, I think many of you have traveled with us on countless occasions. Sometimes, again, as the world and as the industry recovers outside the COVID events, the hotels are now starting to get a lot more renovated. Some of them didn't have the ability to upgrade and such things as that, but it's not usually a situation we have on our programs. And we've been using that hotel forever and a day, and it's always worked. But I thank you for letting us know that.
Thank you.
Ian, hello, this is Steve. We have not traveled with the chamber before. Just a quick question. How many travelers do you typically have on a trip like this?
That's a great question. So in this particular event. So we look for one bus right now. One bus is what we'd look for an initial conversation. So buses in this region hold 50 passengers. We look for some vicinity of between 40 and 42 passengers, which the way that the chamber operates will be sold relatively quickly. So once we have those passengers already reserved, we have about a 10 to 15 passenger amount before we can open up a second coach, and we have an active wait list. If we have a second coach, then we operate a second coach, a separate tour director, driver, and such things as that.
Great, thank you very much.
And as I've learned many years ago that sometimes I can multitask, and I'm not sure where you got the information on the price of the entrance for the Monte Carlo Casino, but according to what the Monte Carlo Casino is stating, it is 17 euros. That's on the internet. You can't always believe what you read on the internet, but the internet's Monte Carlo site says 17 euros.
Hi, I have a question. Are there restrooms on the motor coach?
Great question. So yes, there could well be restaurants on the motor coach, but it's a little bit like when you go and buy a car in this country. There's packages. You might not want that lily white leather seats if you've got kids, but it's part of the package. And if you want the car, it comes as part of the package. Buses in today's day and age, historically, for the simplicity of a build and the economics of making it as the build as cheap as possible, always have bathrooms. But the problem is the bathrooms may not be open because of the emptying of the bathroom waste. Europe is very eco-friendly, and in most routes there may not be a place that can empty bathrooms. If there is, the bathroom will be open and your driver and tour director will let you know. If it isn't, then we'll be stopping every 90 minutes to 2 hours for a leg stretcher. If anybody still has still smokes and has to have a cigarette, that type of thing, a cup of coffee. But that's if it doesn't, and there are days when it may be open and there's days when it won't be, just basically because of that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
And anyone can always email me too.
Yes, thank you very much. Then nobody's got anything. Would love to. I look forward to having you on the trip, and do sign up sooner than later. And I look forward to having you traveling with us again.
Thank you so much for your time, Ian, and for giving us that rundown of the entire trip. I cannot wait to go. We already have a couple people signed up, and as this was happening, some of you were texting me and saying that you're going. So definitely remember that $100 does get added on after the 24th. And it's always a really, really great time. When we went to Italy, there were 48 of us. And it was just, we all had a really good time on our bus all the time, going everywhere together. So get ready to have some fun, and also just get to immerse yourself in the culture. But thank you so much, Ian.
All righty, take care. Bye.
Bye, everyone.